Good day, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Derek Mitchell, and this is Niagara Edge Health. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Q&A on ketosis and how you can just answer some questions that people have asked over email. If you do have any questions you have for me, my email address is niagaraedge@gmail.com. Again, my name is Derek Mitchell. Thank you for joining me. And so let's go. One first question is, how important is the diet aspect of becoming healthier and losing weight? In my opinion, sorry about that, an email just came in. In my opinion, uh, diet is a larger component, and each person's body is different. I believe that eating low carb ketogenically is a healthy way of improving your lifestyle, but it's just one component. I would, if I had to percentage it, I'd say around 70% of your overall health is around 70% is the type of food you put in your body. And that includes, for me, a lot of the low carbohydrate foods, including meats, eggs, some cheeses, some cream, heavy cream. And I also want to keep the sources clean. I don't want it to be too processed, so I try to stay away from bacon that's got too much sugar in it, that kind of thing. So I watch packaging. But diet is a large component of how healthy your body's going to be. It's like a car, the engine, the type of fuel you put in it, how much you maintain it. It's all a big deal about what you put in your body. So I would say for that answer is uh, if you can eat the better foods, and whatever you determine the better foods are for you is up to you. Each person's different. Don't ever let anyone tell you that, oh, you got to eat this way, and no matter who you are, it's going to be the same. That's absolute nonsense. So you got to figure out what works for you. And what works for me most of the time is low carb ketogenic eating. So that is what I consider to be important, the percentage. What's the other 30-40% include? So there's a hormonal aspect to it as well. And those include a few different factors that affect your hormones. Um, I'll just quickly go through them. So that is the second question. What other aspects should you consider when you're trying to get better health or lower weight? Now, eating properly should be a component, a tool of you having a better life. It shouldn't be the end of the road. It should just be a mechanism you use to become healthier. So the second question is, what other components are there to improving your physical health, uh, biological health? We can talk about emotional and spiritual health differently, but as far as that goes, a lot of things hormonally affect how much weight you lose or gain, how effective your body is at processing the food that you do eat. So things like stress. If you're working in a very high stressful work environment, or maybe your relationships are very stressful, it depends. You can try to minimize those stress levels. That would definitely improve your ability to have your body operate properly. Sleep is a huge component. If you don't get enough sleep, or if you don't get a quality sleep, some people wake up way too much during the night. Some people just don't get into the deep sleep patterns that they need to. A lot of that, in my opinion, has to do with what time you go to bed. Late shift or overnight shift is a tough one to get over, but you want to make sure that you get a quality and appropriate amount of sleep as well. So I don't know, some people can live on 4 or 5 hours sleep. Personally, I think that you're not as healthy if you can get minimum 6.5, 7. I think that's way too little anyway. My optimum is around 7.5 hours. Um, and I notice it, if I'm any less than 6, I definitely have a rough time. If I'm any more than 8, that doesn't work for me either. So 7.5 is pretty good for me. But each person has a different dynamic, and you can change that as well by changing the time you go to bed at night. The circadian rhythm affects, the amount of sleep and the quality of sleep you get. So if you go to bed too late, then that can affect that as well. So sleep is a component, lowering stress is a component. When you don't have those in order, your body doesn't know when to stop eating and using other hormones in your body. Um, So you need to make sure that you do reduce the stress and get a good sleep, a quality sleep. So those are a couple of components. And then somebody asked me, what about exercise? How important is that? Now, for a weight loss component, it's minimally important. From a health perspective, it's very important that you at least have a certain level of activity on a regular basis. Lets your cardiovascular system. It also keeps your muscles in tone. It allows your blood to flow. If you're sitting all the time, your blood doesn't flow through your circulatory system effectively. So exercise is important for overall health. As far as weight loss goes, I think it's minimal. It can improve your efforts if you're eating properly and you've got good sleep, good lower stress, and then you also include exercise or I call it specific activity that doesn't stress your body out too much, but it also allows you to be more active. So like taking a walk on a nice warm day, or doing mowing the lawn, shoveling the snow in the winter, those kind of things that you're not going to put, it's going to be an effort and it's going to improve your metabolism, but it's not going to stress you out so much that your body's going to produce cortisol and therefore the hormone levels will be out of whack. So exercise is important, but if you push it too far, it can cause more issues than it can help you move in the right direction. So you have to look, again, every person's individually important. You need to determine what's appropriate for you. So that was the third question I got, was about exercise. And then the last question I'm going to address is, what is the most important? As if they want me to rank what's the most important as far as what you can do for a physical level. And I'm going to talk in a second about emotional and spiritual. But on a physical level, what's the most important? And I got to answer that with saying, um, I, it's sort of random, but I would say it's somewhere between hormones and the food you put in your body. If you constantly put in bad food in your body and you have good hormones, that's definitely a good situation. But if you have bad hormones and still put good food in your body, you're still going to be okay. But your hormonal levels, it's going to basically make it inefficient as far as what the body does with your food. So I'd say it's a balance between hormones and the type of food that you put in your body. But it's individual for each person. So if your hormones are out of whack, you're definitely going to have a rough time even if you eat the right way. So you got to find a balance between the two. Exercise, again, is, as far as weight loss goes, minimally important. As far as overall health, very important. So let's talk about emotional, spiritual health. So that is a component that's sort of difficult, in my opinion, to measure. But I think it also is important to your overall being. If you're constantly negative thinking, if you're depressed, if you're having anxiety, um, which affects me. I'm going to be honest, I have anxiety issues on a pretty regular basis. But I find the types of food I eat definitely improves that anxiety. And there's some vitamins that I use which improves that as well, such as magnesium. Magnesium calms me down so I don't get anxious as often. And exercise helps that anxiety as well. So, and that's something I need to incorporate more into my plan. But I think you get the overall picture that it's a well-developed balance of all of those concepts to be able to get where you need to be. Part of spiritual, emotional is good relationships with the people around you, something I work on regularly. Doesn't always work out the way I'd wanted to, but I am working on it. The people you work with, you want to have good interactions with them. You want to be able to bring positivity into your interactions with no matter who it is, whether it's somebody at a store, whether it's good friends and family, whether it's somebody you work with. Each interaction affects your overall health, and I think it's very important. There's a spiritual element to it as well. Some people have a good faith, and I do myself. That it definitely improves the overall outlook. Now, sometimes we talk about depression. Some people get depressed chronically on a regular basis. Some people get depressed off and on. Some people just have sadness. Sadness is a natural part of what we do. I mean, people get sad sometimes. If you're constantly depressed, if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, that is a definite component to not having a good overall health. So I think that it is important, although difficult to measure. So that's it. I just thought I'd come over and talk about some of those questions that I got and add the spiritual, emotional component at the end. It's Friday here, and I am looking forward to a nice weekend. The weather's starting to get a little nicer here in the Niagara region. If you do like this video, please like it at the bottom of the YouTube. And if you want to become a member, please register with me. And also, if you have any questions that you'd like me to address in future podcasts, my email is niagaraedge@gmail.com. And I wish everyone a good day and a good weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.